Madam Chair, we are ready to start the meeting.
Okay. I don't have a javelin, but we'll pretend. Good afternoon. I call to order the April 7th, 2020 regular meeting of the Minneapolis Heritage Preservation Commission. My name is Madeline Sundberg, and I serve as chair of the commission. As we begin, I will note for the record that this meeting has remote participation by members of the City Council and city staff, members of the commission, as authorized under Minnesota statutes, section 13D.021, due to the declared local public health emergency. At this time, I will ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify a quorum for this meeting.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel, and I'm the clerk. I'll call the roll. Bjornberg.
Present.
Fritz.
Present.
Howard.
Present.
Kling.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Mack.
Present.
Sambolt.
Present.
Stady.
Here.
Sundberg.
Present.
Van der Eyck.
Here.
Thank you all.
Let the record reflect that we do have quorum. Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda for this meeting. We will work from the agendas that were available online and I presume on the table in the hallway. I will go through the agenda and sort out what items will be continued to a future meeting, what items will be discussed, and what items we put on the consent agenda to be approved as recommended by staff without further discussion. So item 4 is 800 Washington Avenue North, Ward 3. That will be continued to the April 21st, 2020 meeting. Item number 5 is 2400 to 2404 Stevens Avenue, Ward 10. That's a certificate of appropriateness for exterior rehabilitation, historic variance to allow for a hotel hostel use, a historic variance to allow for the specific development standards of a hotel, and a historic variance to reduce the off-street parking for the hostel/hotel use. That item is listed to be on consent unless somebody wants to speak in opposition to or modify the staff recommendations. Item number 6 is 4511 East Lake Harriet Parkway, Ward 13, certificate of appropriateness to construct an addition. That item is listed for the consent agenda unless someone wants to speak in opposition to or modify the staff recommendations. Item number 7, 708 2nd Street South, Ward 3, the certificate of appropriateness to repair the mill ruins courtyard and walls is recommended for consent agenda unless someone wants to speak in opposition to or modify the staff recommendations. Item number 8, 2550 3rd Avenue South, Ward 10 is a certificate of appropriateness to replace historic windows and other exterior alterations, and it is also listed to be on the consent agenda unless someone wants to speak in opposition to or modify the staff recommendations. Item number 9, 406 11th Avenue Southeast, Ward 3, a demolition of historic resource, will be continued to the April 21st, 2020 meeting. Item number 10, 410 11th Avenue Southeast, Ward 3, a demolition of historic resource, will be continued to the April 21st, 2020 meeting. Item number 11, 1103 4th Street Southeast, Ward 3, demolition of historic resource, is also slated to be continued to the April 21st, 2020 meeting. Item number 12, 948 18th Avenue Northeast, Ward 1 is a nomination for local designation. That item will be discussed. Item number 13, 15th Street North, Ward 7, nomination for National Register listing will also be discussed. So the proposed agenda is to have on the consent agenda items number 5, which is 2400 to 2404 Stevens Avenue. Item number 6, 4511 East Lake Harriet Parkway. Item number 7, 708 2nd Avenue, 2nd Street South. And item number 8, 2550 3rd Avenue South. Is there any opposition to the staff recommendations for these items? That is item 5, 6, 7, and 8 by members of the commission.
Just quickly, Madeline Sundberg, this is Rachel, the committee clerk. We do have 4 people in the queue from the public to speak.
Okay.
I believe they're applicants or representatives thereof for items number 5 and number 7, but we need to give them the opportunity to say if they want to pull the item for discussion, even though they're recommended for consent at this time.
Yeah.
And they'll need to press *6 to unmute themselves.
Oh, and I'm seeing a note here that item 13 is actually recommended for consent, not discussion. Is that the National Register listing? Does that sound correct to staff? Correct. Okay. So item 13 will also be moved to the consent agenda. I haven't seen any notes come up from any commissioners, so if we could ask the members of the public to call in and let us know what they're calling about.
Grant, are you going to?
If the callers want to press *6 to unmute.
Hi, this is Carol.
Carol, we're not hearing you. Are you still there? Carol, this is Rachel, the committee clerk. It appears that you are muted again. If you'd be willing to press *6 to unmute yourself again so we can. Are you interested in pulling the item for consent?
This is Carol. This is Carol. We do not want to pull it. I keep getting remuted. Oh, this is Carol. Can you hear me?
Hi, Carol. This is Rachel, the committee clerk. Thank you, Carol. We've got your response that you do not want to pull your item for consent.
We do not want to. Correct.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol, this is Rachel, the committee clerk. It appears that you are muted again. If you'd be willing to press *6 to unmute yourself again. So
Madam Chair, this is Casey again. Can you hear me?
Yes, Casey, I can hear you.
So that was the only caller we had call in on item 5. We do have some callers in queue for item 7 if you want to move on.
Yes, could we hear the callers from item 7?
So I guess we'll go ahead and recognize the 2 callers from item 7 who are in queue. And Grant, do you want to call their name and tell them if the callers can press *6 on their phone? That's how they'll be unmuted.
Angela Wolf Scott, you are unmuted. You can make your comment. Angela Wolf Scott, you are unmuted if you have a comment. Valerie Heater, if you have a comment, press *6. Valerie Heater. press *6 to unmute.
Hi, this is Valerie Heider. I'm hoping that people can hear me. I am the project manager with the Minnesota Historical Society, working on the project at Mill City, the Ruins Preservation Project, and we're fine with keeping our item on the agenda as well, the consent agenda.
Thank you, Valerie.
Angela Wolf-Scott, you're still on the call if you have a comment. No, she just went on.
So Madam Chair, this is Casey again. That completes the callers we have in queue for any of the items that were listed on the consent agenda as you read it. I think the commission is free then to move forward with a motion if it is presentable at this time to approve the consent agenda.
Well, I've been discussing with staff, and it sounds like item 12 and 13 are also desired to move to the consent agenda. So I just want to check to see if there's anybody calling on one of those items or if any commissioners wanted to speak to item 12 or 13, which is the National Register listing and the nomination for local designation.
No, no other call. We do not have any other callers on those items.
Okay. Any comments from commissioners before we set this consent agenda? Okay, well, it sounds like then the consent agenda is items 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, and 13. And we will approve these consent agenda items in one motion at the start of the meeting. Items 12, which is 948 18th Avenue Northeast, and items never mind. Sorry, we've moved those to consent. So that leaves items 4, 9, 10, and 11, which will be continued to the April 21st, 2020 meeting. Commissioners, may I have a motion to approve this proposed agenda?
This is Linda Mack, so move.
Thank you, Linda.
Commissioner Vandereyk, second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, could the clerk please call the roll?
All right, so for roll call, we have Bjornberg.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fritz.
Aye.
Thank you. Howard.
Aye.
Thank you. Johnson.
Aye.
Thank you. Kling.
Aye.
Thank you. Mack.
Aye.
Thank you. Sandbolt.
Aye.
Thank you. Stady.
Aye.
Thank you. Vandereyk.
Aye.
Thank you. And Sundberg.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Okay. The agenda is approved. Our next order of business will be to approve the minutes, which is from our March 3rd, 2020 meeting. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Howard so moves.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Vandereyk will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Vandereyk. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, can I have the clerk please call the roll? And if you were not at that meeting, if you could just abstain.
Bjornberg.
Abstain.
Fritz.
Aye.
Howard.
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Johnson.
Abstain.
Mack.
Aye.
Sandbolt.
Aye.
Stady.
Aye.
Sundberg,
Aye.
Vandereyck.
Aye.
Thank you.
The minutes are approved. Okay. Well, I'm trying. We don't have any public hearing items. May I skip the explanation of the public hearing process, or would staff like me to read it for the record?
You can skip it.
Okay. Okay, may I have a motion to continue item number 4, 800 Washington Avenue North, to the April 21st, 2020 meeting?
This is Max, so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Mack.
Fritz, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk could please call the roll.
Thank you. Bjornberg,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Sandbolt,
Aye.
Stady,
Aye.
Vandereyck,
Aye.
Sundberg.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that item is continued. Can I continue 9, 10, and 11 in one motion since it's one applicant, or do we want them to be continued separately?
All in one is the direction we're getting.
Okay. May I have a motion to continue items 9, 406 11th Avenue Southeast, 10, 410 11th Avenue Southeast, and 11, 1103 4th Street Southeast to the April 21st, 2020 meeting?
This is Commissioner Howard. I'll move that.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Do you have a second?
Commissioner Vandereyck will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Vandereyck. Any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk could please call the roll.
Bjornberg,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Johnson, Kling,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Sandbolt,
Aye.
Stady,
Aye.
Vandereyck,
Aye.
Sundberg.
Aye.
Thank you.
Those items are continued. I will now move on to the consent agenda items. I will open the public hearing on the consent agenda if there are any anything anybody wants to discuss before we move forward with it. The people who are on site at City Hall, they're aware, right, of what we're doing so far?
We're following along just fine. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any commissioners wanting to speak to the consent agenda? Okay. So the consent agenda includes items 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, and 13. Seeing no opposition, I will close the public hearing on the consent agenda items. May I have a motion to approve staff findings and recommendations for these items?
Commissioner Vandereyck, so moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Vandereyck. Is there a second?
Commissioner Kling,
Fritz,
second. Oh.
I will give that to Commissioner Kling. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk could please call the roll.
Bjornberg,
Aye.
Fritz,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Sandvolt,
Aye.
Stady,
Aye.
Vandereyck,
Aye.
Sundberg.
Aye.
Thank you.
That motion passes. So I think that brings us to any announcements about Commissioner business. I want to thank everybody for making this virtual meeting work. I know it's been a little bit tricky. Does staff have any announcements?
We do not at this time.
Okay. Any commissioner announcements?
This is Commissioner Stady. Should we welcome our new commissioners?
I was just thinking this. I'm so sorry that you don't even get to meet us in public as our new two commissioners. I don't think this is how we expected your first meeting to go. Do either of you have any questions about typical operations, since you didn't get to really see it a typical meeting?
Could they introduce themselves just a bit, Madeline?
Sure. Do you want to give your names and maybe a brief couple sentences about yourselves?
Sure. I'll go first. I'm Andrew Johnson. I'm glad to be with you guys. Kind of disappointed this is the first meeting and how it's going, but I'm glad that we were able to call an audible and do this at the last minute. So this is great. Technology has really helped everybody through this. Anyway, I'm a civil engineer by degree. I work for the federal government in real estate and portfolio management. So I come from the DC area. Originally, I'm really proud to call Minneapolis home, and really excited to be part of this commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hi, I'm Marae Bjornberg, and I'm also super excited to be part of this commission, whether it's virtual or in person. I have lived in Minneapolis my whole life, love it, and I am a project manager in capital planning at the Minnesota Historical Society. I have a degree in architecture and then my master's in preservation, so feel right at home here.
Thank you, Marae. Any other announcements or business? Well, there being no other business this meeting, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Commissioner Stady. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Stady. Is there a second?
Commissioner Vandereyck seconds.
Oh, I'll give that to Commissioner Vandereyck. This is going to be really funny, but may the clerk please call a roll.
Okay, I see that I'm, okay, okay. Making sure I can be heard. All right, so final roll call. Bjornberg.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Howard.
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
Sandbolts.
Aye.
Stady.
Aye.
Sundberg.
Aye.
Vandereyck.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. The next regular meeting of the HPC is April 21st, 2020. I'm guessing we'll be doing it like this virtually again. But I'm guessing Kimberly will stay tuned and you'll give us any updates. Or Andrea?
That is correct.
Okay.
But yes, we plan to have the April 21st meeting virtually as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks to all the staff and the chair and you guys for doing this. This worked out really well.
Good.